And then suddenly, as that's going into literally into this other space, Bob Dylan, goes underground and surfaces with this group called The Band. Biggest bootleg in history, was circulated throughout the entire music community, called The Basement Tapes, which was recorded in the band's house. And the Byrds go to Nashville and come out with Sweetheart of the Rodeo, out of, from psychedelic, 67, 68, it's all of a sudden back to country.
Yeah.
Country music, rock country, sort of. And so you would shift as a kid. Okay, now you learn that. Now you study that, and then you learn the roots of that. So now you're going back and studying Johnny Cash and Hank Williams, suddenly, just like you were studying the blues guys when, the Yardbirds and everybody came over and introduced us to Robert Johnson or Son House or Reverend Gary Davis and all those guys, and of course Muddy Waters and all the Southside Chicago guys. I never heard of them. I never heard of Chuck Berry. I never heard of Bo Diddley, So we were being introduced to the pioneers of rock and roll as well as the blues guys by the English guys, So then we go back and we study them. Now country music comes in. Okay, we go back and study that, And then by the early 70s, the Renaissance ended, and it was a Renaissance, those 20 years, certainly from 51 to 71. And this interesting sort of mass unity. There was even though things were shifting, somehow it was all very connected in a way. There was a sense of the masses shifting with the trends. And suddenly, in the early 70s, fragmentation was introduced, and of course would stay to this day.
Yeah.
And everything suddenly went from the singer-songwriter trend born from Bob Dylan over here, all the way to what would be called heavy metal.
But how come? How come? Why that fragmentation? How come?
Well, just the natural, I think, evolution of music,
There's some sort of tree, then you have a tree, and then so all of a sudden you have...
Yes, I mean, as simple as that. It just was combined with the business becoming a business in the 70s, okay? It wasn't really a business. It was a bunch of thieves and entrepreneurs and freaks, teenagers. Everybody thought it was going to end any minute. And it kind of did end in a way around 59, 1960 for a lot of people, when all the pioneers suddenly disappeared at once, Buddy Holly was killed in a plane crash with Richie Valens, and Big Bopper. Chuck Berry was in jail. Jerry Lee Lewis was banned because he married his 13-year-old cousin, which was not a big deal in the South, but it was a big deal when he got to England. Little Richard quit and became a preacher, I think because of Sputnik. When the Russian launched their
I think
first,
Sputnik, yeah.
like 59?
Yeah, 59.
Yeah, Little Richard saw that as a sign from God and quit playing.
Is it true, the story, or?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's why he quit it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I asked him. Suddenly, all these amazing, Elvis Presley was in the Army.
Army, yeah.
All these amazing, what we now know is really geniuses. They didn't know it at the time. They were just trying to make a living. Disappeared, So everybody thought that was the end. And then the early 60s were kind of stumbling around, finding their way, and then the Beatles, of course, made sure that there was a future. But anyway, I'm jumping all over the place.